It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Montana State Bobcats head skiing coach, Nordic skiing coach, Coach Adam St. Peters. How are you doing today?
Good. It's St. Pierre, but that's okay.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching and Nordic skiing?
Yeah, I grew up, I actually came a little late to Nordic skiing. I started skiing in high school as a way to stay in shape for soccer and track. Um, and, I liked it, but I didn't think it was my favorite sport. But once I got to college, I chose Nordic skiing over soccer and track. And I had a really inspiring coach in college. She was Tracy Farrell at the time. Now she's Tracy Cody. And she's still there coaching at Colby now, 20 some odd years later. But she really inspired me to, to want to go into ski coaching and, kind of instilled that in me.
What was that experience like going to Colby College and getting started in skiing on the collegiate level?
Like I said, I was pretty late coming to skiing. I didn't start skiing until I was a sophomore. Many of the athletes that become really successful in skiing start, much younger, 10 or 12 years old. So I didn't actually expect to ski in college. I expected to play college and to run track. Track is the only sport I was actually recruited for. At Colby, I was able to walk on to the soccer team as well. And I had no intention of skiing when I got to college. But I met some of the ski team athletes at a community service event and started talking with them, and they seemed really nice. And they said there were only 4 men on the team, and they needed 6. So I joined the team actually after soccer season of my first year in college. And after 1 year skiing, I knew track and soccer were not the sports I wanted to pursue collegiately, and was all in for skiing.
How was that experience like putting on that ski uniform for Colby and representing them?
It was really cool, but it was also overwhelming. Like, I remember my first race was a 15K classic in Lake Placid, New York, on the trails that they had used at the Olympics 20 years earlier. In high school, I never raced more than 5K, so just the change in race length was a big adjustment for me. But I also realized how little I actually knew about skiing. High school skiing had prepared me, with a basic knowledge, but my eyes really got open to how much more there was to skiing. And that just like fueled my curiosity and my desire to keep going.
What was that experience like skiing in Lake Placid?
I mean, Lake Placid is a beautiful venue. And they've actually put in a lot of money and resources and invested in the venue in hopes of hosting, future competitions like the Olympics. They're actually hosting the World Cup finals for Nordic skiing next March of 2025. But just to be somewhere where there was that history and like knowing that Olympians had skied those trails many years ago, and having heard stories about them, it was cool, and we still go back and race at Lake Placid every couple of years, and it's still exciting to think about the history there.
For you, what was it like getting involved in coaching and first going to Bowen College to be an assistant coach?
Yeah, so I graduated from Colby, and I wasn't really sure where life would take me. I was a physics and biochemistry major. But I didn't really want to go the grad school route or anything. So a master's program sort of fell into my lap when a friend and former teammate told me about it. And that seemed like a good way to put off the real world for 2 more years. But I had been dating a girl who's now my wife, who went to Bowdoin. Bowdoin and Colby are rivals. So she actually skied and raced at a rival school. Um, and when I was in grad school, I was going up to visit her most weekends, and her coach at the time was Marty Hall, and Marty asked if I wanted to be his assistant coach because he needed one, and I was up there all the time. So um, yeah, I sort of fell into my first coaching role, and it was wonderful. Like Marty had coached the U.S. men's team, the U.S. women's team, the Canadian national team. So by this point in his career, he was sort of, just this old wealth of knowledge. And it was really great to get to, work with him and learn from him for the first 2 years of my coaching journey.
How was that experience like going to the World Juniors Cup and getting to coach and going to Switzerland?
Yeah, so the World Junior Ski Championships is sort of um, the highest level event there is for skiers under 20, so up to 19 years old. And as I got further along in my coaching career, I realized that's something that would be really cool to do. The U.S. ski team will select a staff for each championships from a bunch of coaches who apply. So I started applying for different international trips fairly early in my coaching career, before I actually had a resume that was worth applying with. But as I built up that resume, it was an honor to be selected to coach that trip. Um, we went to Gomes, Switzerland, which is kind of down near Italy, and just a beautiful, beautiful place. Um, and it was really fun to get to support the best junior athletes in the U.S. at that championship. Um, the highlights were certainly watching Haley Swerble take the first individual medals the U.S. had ever won at the World Junior Championships. Or not the first, the second and the third. The year before, Catherine Ogden won an individual. So seeing Haley win two individual medals, and then the U.S. boys relay team took silver in like a huge surprise. But being there, like Trailside, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was just such an awesome experience.
How was that experience like for you going to the Youth Olympics and getting to be in Norway?
So Norway is, the crux of cross country skiing. They are the strongest nation in international competition. So getting to coach at the Youth Olympic Games was incredible just because it was the Youth Olympic Games, which is an event put on by the International Olympic Committee that includes all the Olympic sports. Biathlon, curling, luge, hockey, cross country skiing, right? Everything you see in the Winter Olympics. Lillehammer had hosted the Winter Olympics in 1994, but they host, World Cup cross country races and world championships for cross country skiing and biathlon, and it is like kind of the mecca of Nordic skiing. So getting to be in Lillehammer and ski on those trails, and getting to work with, I got to work with two athletes there. The U.S. At that time only got to bring one boy and one girl to the event. And getting to work with Hannah and Hunter, who both went on to ski for the U.S. ski team, later on in their careers was really fun. I got to work with, coaches from other sports, biathlon and luge, and just everything. And getting to eat with them in the dining hall was like just this really fun educational opportunity, hearing how other sports work and what some of their challenges were. So it was an incredible experience. And, I hope to get to coach at the Olympics someday, but that might be somewhat dependent on my collegiate coaching load.
What was that experience like getting to work with the U.S. Skiing and Snowboarding Committee and being a part of that?
So U.S. Ski and Snowboard is the national governing body for uh, alpine skiing, freestyle skiing, cross country skiing, snowboarding in the United States. So essentially, to make a national team or to go to the Olympics, you have to qualify under criteria from U.S. Ski and Snowboard. And in many of those sports, going to the Olympics is sort of the culminating event of a career. So I got involved with U.S. Ski and Snowboard like fairly early on. I served as the chair of the junior coaching committee for a bunch of years, and I served as the chair of the coaches committee for a bunch of years. And probably it might have been 5 years ago now, that they saw a need to have a sport coordinator for cross country. So that's the role I've filled the last few years. Essentially, the sport coordinator performs a lot of the administrative and communication related tasks that the U.S. ski team coaches don't have the time or energy to do. So a lot of my job is just sharing information from U.S. ski and snowboard and the U.S. ski team coaches with coaches and racers around the country, and then taking concerns that might be raised by those coaches and racers and kind of bringing them up the chain to the U.S. Ski team and the governing body. So it's nice to be a part of it, and I really enjoy getting to communicate with coaches and racers and parents all over the country.
Coming to Montana State, what was that experience like being the head Nordic skiing coach?
So, I started coaching with, assistant coaching a college program, and then I went and coached junior skiers for a bunch of years. And pretty early on in my junior coaching career, I realized that, kind of my skill set and my ultimate goal was to coach at a collegiate program. And then, in looking at where the various collegiate programs were located and the places my wife and I and our small family, I have an 11-year-old son, Finley, and a 7-year-old daughter, Cordelia. So looking at the places we would want to live, Bozeman, Montana, and Montana State were certainly top of the list. So in 2015, I applied to be the coach at MSU and interviewed and was really excited about the prospect, but unfortunately, I was the runner-up. So it was back to the drawing board, and so I was really, really happy when the job came available again in 2020, and I applied and interviewed, and got the job. It's sort of a dream job, and I'm really, just pinch myself every day.
How's it feeling like getting to coach the Nordic skiers?
I get to coach some incredible athletes. So there's a lot more skiers that want to ski collegiately than I have space for. We have 7 men and 10 women on the roster, and that's about all we can support. So I get to choose, who comes on the team, and we have some really exceptional individuals that are, good students, great skiers, really hard workers, really involved in their journey and their process of getting better. It's super rewarding, and I love working with the athletes. I love working with the rest of the athletic department staff, from our academic coordinators and our strength coaches to our sports psychologist and our dietitian, to make sure that the team I have here at Montana State is supported in as many aspects of athletic performance that they can be.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your athletes?
So as a coach, one of my big goals is to remove as much unnecessary stress as possible from the athletes. So on race days, a big part of that is selection and preparation of your race skis. So unlike a sport like cross-country running, where you tie your shoes and you go, or maybe you have to choose between like a half-inch spike and a full-inch spike or whatever, depending on the surface. In skiing, we do a lot of work with different waxes and different ski constructions and different kind of structure patterns in the base, depending on the snow conditions, whether it's real cold, dry snow or real warm, wet, or somewhere in between. So a big part of what we do as coaches on race day is, take out a bunch of skis that are as close to identical as they can be, and we prepare them differently, and we try to find what the best, wax preparation is. And then we put that on our athlete skis so that they can go out and, have skis that glide appropriately.
What are some of the similarities and differences between Nordic skiing and alpine skiing?
So really the only similarities are that you have skis on your feet and you glide on snow. Alpine skiing is very much a kind of a strength, balance, the longest races we do collegiately is the giant slalom, and they take about a minute. So it's a very short event, very, very high speed, high adrenaline. Whereas in Nordic, we race, our shortest event is about 3 minutes, and our longest event's about an hour. So we're much more of an aerobic sport, more like a 10K runner. It's kind of funny that, NCAA groups skiing as one sport, where Alpine and Nordic we're the same team. Even though we train very differently, we have different coaches, different athletes. It's almost like, how track has you've got 10K runners and you've got shot putters, and they're the same team, but they aren't doing anything, the same in terms of training and competing. So, yeah, really, it's just the fact that we're skiing on snow is the main similarity.
Who are some of the teams that you compete against?
So there's about 33, 35 NCAA ski programs in the country. We are part of the Rocky Mountain Intercollegiate Ski Association. So our competitors are, University of Colorado Boulder, Denver University, University of Utah, University of Alaska Fairbanks, and University of Alaska Anchorage. And our conference, we compete at the championships. There's athletes and teams from the Central Collegiate Ski Association and the Eastern Intercollegiate Ski Association. But the Rocky Mountain RIMSA, as we call it, is kind of the strongest conference. CU Boulder's the defending national champion. Utah won, I think, the 5 championships before that, and then CU and DU have won, more than any other schools in history. So we're we're like the SEC for football.
What is that home atmosphere like when teams come to your home facility to ski versus going to Alaska Fairbanks to ski?
So, it's fun that we get to travel around and ski a lot of different places. Every venue has sort of its own quirks and nuances. Fairbanks is just cold. So going up there, you bring extra layers. I really love our home venue. It's about 25 minutes from campus, and it's called Crosscut Mountain Sports Center. And it's a place kind of like Lake Placid has, where they put a lot of investment into their infrastructure. So they have, a dedicated parking lot and stadium for Nordic ski racing, and just some really fun trails, really challenging, with big climbs and fast descents, and some harder corners. It's just a great place to ski. So when we host races, it's a great opportunity to show that off. And we love bringing our competitors, to our town to, show them what they are missing by not being at MSU.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the Nordic skiing program?
Culture, or team culture, is one of our primary goals. We want to win NCAA championships, but we want to win while maintaining a love for the sport of skiing. And I think, you could easily have a bunch of athletes and treat them like robots, right? Like, do this, do this, do this, and you will have results. Whereas, we at MSU really believe that the team culture and having fun while you're working hard are necessary for long-term success in the sport of Nordic skiing. We put in a lot of hours. Like this morning, we were out roller skiing for about 2 hours. Some of that was really hard, and some of that was really easy from a physiological standpoint. But sometimes just getting out of bed and going to practice in the morning is a challenge. And we want to make we want our athletes to look forward to coming to team training every morning, so that that's not a stress, something they love to do. So we work hard in the recruiting process to find athletes that fit that mold and want to be a part of that. There are certainly lone wolf athletes out there that they can train on their own and they can be very successful doing that. But I think the majority of athletes do better in a team environment, and the team becomes both successful and social.
What does that recruitment process look like, and what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes?
So, much like any sport, our goal in recruiting is to find the best athletes possible. So for us, a lot of the races we do are actually they're just open races. So we'll go to a race and there'll be college skiers there, there's high school skiers there, there's professional skiers there, and we're all racing. So generally, step one in recruiting is looking at the results, and you can see, oh man, this high school kid would have been, third for our team or seventh for all collegians. So, you make a list and you think, okay, that's a kid to reach out to and try to get here, once they graduate from high school. But then, you can take it another step and, reach out to coaches and see, like, is this kid coachable? Is this someone like you would want on a team? And usually coaches are pretty honest, although, sometimes they may give a glowing reference, overlook some things. But typically, once we've established that, like, hey, you're fast, we want you on the team, come visit. And then we try to show them around how we do. We'll have them spend some time with our athletes, whether it's, over lunch or shadowing a class. And we kind of take feedback from the current athletes. Like, what'd you think of this kid? Do you think he'd be a good fit? Is this someone you would want, to train with, to go on long van rides with, to spend, a lot of time in the next couple of years with? So we don't let the current athletes, they don't have the final say, but we certainly appreciate their opinions, because, it's important that we have people that want to be together. They want to train together. They want to motivate each other. So typically, we can sign athletes officially November 13th, I think is the earliest signing day. We can start offering spots to athletes as early as August verbally, but nothing's official until that November 13th signing. So typically, if there are athletes who, essentially coming out of their junior year of high school, who we feel can contribute to the team right away, we'll try to sign them in that early signing period. And then depending on how many roster spots we have left, we might wait and see, how the U.S. National Championships or how some early season races go and try to, fill a couple of roster spots at the end of January, beginning of February. And then, if we still have spots open, by the time March, April rolls around, we're looking at, who had the best seasons and who would be the best fit for our team.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes fall in love with the campus and the skiing facilities?
It's wonderful. I mean, if you are a Nordic skier, Bozeman really sells itself. We have incredible access to snow. It's a great ski community. We can ski at multiple different places within about 10 minutes of campus. Or if we drive a little further, we've got Crosscut and we've got, just some of the best on snow training of any school in the US. Probably the best in the lower 48. Alaska would argue that they've got it better than us, but we have more sunshine than Alaska, so I think we've got it better. So like bringing a student athlete onto campus and showing them around, it's really fun when they are just mind blown at how amazing Bozeman is. Whether that's our dryland training, our trail running, our mountain biking, our roller skiing, and take them around our campus facilities, our strength room, meet our strength coach, meet our academic advisors. Like, I think many student athletes are fairly blown away by the level of support we can provide compared to, what they're used to, coming out of high school or a club program.
What is it like getting to see those freshmen put on that skiing uniform for the first time representing Montana State?
It's really fun to see, the athletes get on campus in August and we really start training together kind of mid-September. So getting to see those freshmen integrate into the team is awesome. And to see, the athletes as they go through their careers, become leaders instead of the followers is wonderful to see that growth and change of experience. And then once we get into race season, it's always exciting to see how the summer and the fall of training have gone and see the athletes racing, but not just for themselves. Like the team component of NCAA skiing is something that doesn't exist in a lot of other other individual sports at the non-NCAA level. So, yeah, you see athletes who are racing for something bigger than themselves, and that leads to some really incredible results.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen going down those slopes for the first time?
Um, it's always a little nerve-wracking. Um, in some sports, you can tell from workouts how your fitness is. Like in track and field, if you're running, your mile repeats at 440 pace or whatever, like, okay, I'm fit. And you can compare that to, every other mile repeat you've ever done. Every track is 400 meters or swimming, every pool, right? In skiing, we don't have that. So we're constantly doing things to try to assess our fitness compared to ourselves last year or compared to each other. But really, we don't know how we're doing until the racing starts. So those early races, when you pull on the race suit and you go when the gun goes off, is where you see whether what you've done in the past few months and past few years has been good enough. Hopefully, it motivates you to keep going.
What is that like getting to see those seniors putting on that uniform for the last time?
You're gonna make me cry. Um, it's wonderful. Like I've had, this is my fourth year coaching, so the seniors this year are the first class that I recruited. Um, but the seniors who graduated in past years are athletes that I inherited. And I joked that they got to hire me because they were involved in like the interview process. So those first couple graduating classes were really special. Not that the future ones won't be, but I think every class has some really cool memories. Um, it's really, I don't know if melancholy is the right word, but like the last races of the season are always, you always want to go out on top, right? Like every race, I want my 7 men to be, places 1 through 7. And that hasn't happened yet, but those last races, you especially want the seniors to just, go out with a bang. And at the end of the race, you want tears of joy instead of tears of frustration. Um, but yeah, I've certainly shed a few tears in the last races of the season in the past few years as alumni have taken off the suit for the last time as a Bobcat.
How is it like getting to see those seniors going either on the national team route and going to the Olympics or getting into college skiing coaching?
Yeah, I mean, like it's been amazing. Like I said, part of our goals as a team are to, make sure that people still love skiing beyond MSU. So whether that's, we've got a couple of alumni coaching now, one's in here in Bozeman, so we get to see her some, and another's in Alaska. So the fact that they, love skiing enough when they were done racing to want to coach is pretty rewarding. And we've got, one of last year's graduates is pursuing professional skiing with the Bridger Ski Foundation Pro team here in Bozeman. So getting to see her, yeah, strive for that next level of competition has been wonderful. So it's amazing. And then other graduates have gone on to jobs in engineering and nursing and business, and um, it's awesome to see people get what they want after college, whether that's, a career using a degree that they worked hard for or to keep chasing the Olympic dream in cross country skiing.
What are some of your future plans for the program and what have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish?
We've accomplished a lot, but it seems like there's always more to accomplish. I think when, I took over the Nordic program, there had been a lot of coach turnover in the decade before on both the Nordic and the Alpine side. So a lot of things got missed from just like an equipment ordering and maintaining our vehicles and just lots of little things. So I think we're in a much better place now with management of our equipment and management of our athletes. There's a lot of things like the university provides a lot of support, and you don't know what support there is until you find out that it's there. So there's a lot of things that are like, oh, we can do that. Um, so as I've found out more and more, like we're able to do more to support the athletes and do more to grow the program, from a fundraising perspective, from a integration within the athletic department and integration within the Bozeman ski community. So I think we've done a really good job of integrating into our community. We're the two-time defending community service award winners, meaning we've just put in more hours of community service than any other team at MSU. And that's largely been, skiing with kids. We'll go teach gym class at some of the schools around Bozeman that have skis for their kids to use at gym class or at recess. Um, and doing things like that has been really a big step for our team, just in getting us support from our local community. Yeah, we still have a long way to go to be where we want to be, but we've achieved some good milestones along the way. We're also, we were fifth at NCAA's last year, just a few points out of fourth. Fourth is the highest finish we've ever had at NCAA championships as a team. So we're always, trying to get on that podium, and I think we're capable of winning the NCAA championship at some point, and then being regular contenders for, hopefully the rest of my coaching career.
What advice would you give those incoming skiers looking to ski as freshmen?
So Nordic skiing is an endurance sport. So like the more hours of training you have under your belt, generally the more competitive you will be. But when you think about it, like the training you're doing now is built on the training you did yesterday, which is built on the training you did last week and last month and last year. So for a lot of skiers, it's hard to take that long range view. So like this year, we have room for two women and two men to bring onto the team next year. And I've talked to dozens of high school seniors and dozens of boys and dozens of girls that want to join the MSU ski team. And my advice for those that we don't have space for this year is train another year, and whether that's stay home and work with your current club and coach, or go somewhere and train with a different program, with like-minded individuals who are also training and trying to excel, and then apply again the next year, right? Because another year of training might get you to the point where you'd be a good fit for MSU. But yeah, the bulk of my advice to people who want to ski collegiately would be to just train a lot, and really throw yourself into the sport of skiing, and give it your all.
What advice would you give those college juniors transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
So it's interesting. My assistant coach last year did a master's in coaching here at MSU, and she looked at the transition of athletes out of the sport of Nordic skiing. And it was largely a survey of athletes that had transitioned, from high level skiing into, regular life. But some of the things she uncovered was that, it's important to start talking about it and thinking about it early. So, having conversations with those juniors about what, their senior year might look and feel like, and, talking about their goals and making sure they're realistic and not too unachievable. And then, just trying to be a resource if someone needs a letter of reference for a job or for grad school. That's something as a coach I'm honored and happy to write, because we just want to help them have the most successful senior season, as well as success beyond college.
What advice would you give those college seniors looking to go compete on the national team route and make it to the Olympics?
So the national team and selection criteria for the Olympics are very cut and dry. Like you need these results, you need these action items. So I think step one is know what the selection criteria is, so that you can target those races where you can achieve results necessary to make those teams. And then it's a matter of planning your training and your racing and your travel, such that you can be be ready when those big races come. A lot of that, just comes down to preparing early.
What advice would you give those athletes that are looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
I think the transition from skier to ski coach works quite well. In college programs and even a lot of the top professional programs, they kind of intentionally integrate within their greater ski community. It's like when an NFL player stays after a game and signs autographs, right? That player is building, building fans, gaining fans for him or herself and the team. So by being a part of a local ski community and having our athletes sharing trails with young kids, that builds up a fan base, hopefully. But it also provides those seniors an experience like, hey, do I like skiing with kids, or would I rather have an office job or do something completely different? So it's a fairly easy transition, and my hope is that the skiers, they learn enough in their 4 years to go into coaching and at least give them a platform from which to expand.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to get started on the collegiate level of college skiing?
But like I said, there's only about 33 NCAA ski programs. So college coaching ski jobs are sort of few and far between. Generally, like I don't plan to retire. I'm 43 and I'm hoping I'll be here for 20 or 30 more years. So when those jobs do come available, my advice would be apply, because there's no harm in applying. And if coaching collegiately is your goal as a coach, then you got to take those chances whenever they might arise. I think building a resume, whether it's coaching at US ski team trips and summer camps, or putting on events and camps and stuff for junior athletes or masters athletes or local athletes, just having the biggest, most well-rounded base of knowledge, everything from waxing skis to hosting events to writing training plans and everything that's involved in skiing, builds the best resume possible.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program?
So I am on Instagram at Coach Adam St. Pierre, but I'm not particularly active. You can follow MSU Bobcats skiing on Instagram. It is probably a more exciting follow. We also have a MSU ski team Facebook page that gets most of the same stuff as Instagram, but depending on the age of your listeners, they may prefer Instagram to Facebook or Facebook to Instagram. You can always check out msubobcats.com. Has links to all the MSU athletic programs, and there's links to the men's and women's ski programs there. If you want to see our race schedule and results and team rosters and stuff like that.
Thank you again, Coach Adam St. Pierre, for your interview and best luck in your future at Montana State Bobcats as the head Nordic skiing coach.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate your time and look forward to hearing how I sound on a podcast.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again, Coach Adams, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.